All right, so this is going to go really fast. We're going to go super fast. You don't have to follow along if you don't want to, but if you do, then that's great. So we're going to go to our Epic Games launcher. We're going to go to Unreal. We're going to go to the Library tab, and we're going to launch Unreal. And I'm going to load up a project that we were working on before, the light switch we were working on before. Who just entered? Is that you, Dan? It was you, Dan. Let me fix your attendance.
Oh, wait, I'm not in attendance?
Sorry, Rob. Is Rob here? Did Rob enter? No, it's Rob that I'm missing. Okay. Dan, you're good. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna open up this light switch project we were working on Tuesday. It does take some time to load. No big deal. Okay, so let's see. Here we are in the level editor. On the left-hand side, we have our place actors. This allows us to place actors into the world either by dragging them. Well, actually, I think it's only by dragging them into our viewport, which is this thing in the center. Above that place actors block, we have this file edit view. It's like the same stuff you find in, Word and Excel. Right here, we have our toolbar. So it allows us to access things that we'd commonly use in Unreal. So in our case, we're definitely going to be doing build and play a lot. Over here on the right side, we have our world outliner. This is everything that is actually in the game. We can click on them to select those items in the world. Once we have those items selected, we get information from them on the details panel. That's this guy right here. And in that details panel, it tells us all the details of that specific object we have selected and the things that we can modify for that particular object. Down here at the bottom, we have our content browser. This is the library of all the content that we have, not necessarily what's in the game, but just things that we can add to the game if we wish. And of course, any of the things that we've built. So we built this light switch blueprint, which I'm going to go ahead and double click now. But before I actually get into this, is there any questions about the UI? Oh, I forgot the viewport. Sorry. So viewport, that's the thing in the center. And we have options over here on the left in the viewport to change different settings of the viewport itself. And on the right side is different modifications of the object we have selected and all the snap tools associated with that object we have selected. Cool. And then, and then this guy too, which I almost never use, but allows us to have a 4-view panel instead of a single view panel. All right, so any questions on this? I assume no. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, that's no problem. All right, so in our light switch, up here on the left, we have our components. It's very similar to place actors. Below that, we have our My Blueprint panel. This allows us to create functions, macros, and have different variables for those functions and macros. It also gives us access to the event graph. So like if I close this tab, the event graph and the construction script, and I can even close the viewport if I want to, I can just double click these guys and it'll bring it back up. And if I need the viewport, I can go to Window, Viewport, and there you go. Cool, right? Okay, so in the center here is obviously our viewport tab, construction script, and event graph, and any events that we create, or I'm sorry, not events, any functions that we create would also show up there. So like I'm gonna do this cool bacon function, and you can see now I have this tab for bacon function. So we'll get rid of that. When we select this particular tab, it takes us to it. We can hold down right mouse to move around, middle mouse to zoom in, left mouse to select those items, either by left click and dragging to select multiple units like an RTS, or just left clicking on a particular node to select it. On the right here is our details panel. So when we select an item in our components or in our My Blueprints, It'll give us details about that particular item, and then we can manipulate those details as we see fit. And then above this is our toolbar, very similar to the toolbar in our level editor. And to the left of that is our file edit view, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, super duper quick, right? Any questions on the review of the level and blueprint editors and the UI of those and kind of how to move around? I guess one thing I didn't talk about is moving around in here. You have WASD to move around, left click to select, F to focus on it. You can hold down Alt and left click and drag to rotate around an item that you have focused. Middle mouse will zoom in and out. Well, not zoom in and out, but it'll move the camera on a track like a pan. And if you do both mouses, you have this and this for forward and backwards and left and right with the mouse. All right. Any questions?
I have one.
No. Go ahead.
I was about to say, so the hotkeys for the when you rotate and scaling is like is Q and E, right?
Yes, it's sorry, it's W, E, and R for the different transforms. W, E, and R for movement. Sorry, yeah, translate, rotate, and scale.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Cool. Good question. Okay, so that was pretty quick. What I'd like for you guys to do is to go ahead and open up your blueprint, your project, the one you were working on with this light switch. If you didn't save it, that's okay. Just create a new project. It's no big deal. We're just going to create a completely new blueprint. And I know it takes a minute for you guys to open everything, so I'll give you time to do that. We're going to slow down the pace of the lecture here, and I'm going to walk through building another light switch. Alejandro, this is unreal, but yes.
Also, thank you, sir, for going over because I was working on it, but for some reason, every time I turned on my light, it acted very seizure-y, and I thought, that's not right. What the heck did I do?
Awesome. Well, no problem. Welcome, Rob. I got you on the attendance now. And I know you just walked in, but we're loading up the project now.
Right, the one that you were working on last time with the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
create a new blueprint, completely new blueprint.
All right, cool. I wasn't trying to be late. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Just-
You're fine.
Okay.
Just letting you know
Excuse
that
me.
I didn't count you absent. Go ahead, Hayden. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was looking at my grades and my attendance, and it says I was absent on Tuesday, but I know for a fact that I was in class that day.
All right, gotcha. Should be sorted now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Keep me on the uppity up. Sometimes I miss a person because there's a lot of you guys. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
we're
appreciate it.
yeah, no
I've seen you
problem.
pulling a lot of your code back and forth from the objects you're creating. Is it better to create the objects first and then do the coding, or just do part of the coding and then make the object?
It depends, right? I think sometimes I know exactly what I want for the components of my actor, and sometimes I don't know exactly what I want, and so then I have to go back and like add components and so on. So I think it just kind of depends on what we're doing.
Okay.
All right, so I'm assuming you have the project open now. Go to the content browser. That's this guy right here at the bottom. Go to your content folder, blueprints, and inside there, you're going to right click. You're going to get this context menu, and you're going to click on blueprint, blueprint class. When you do, you get this pick a parent class, like modal type thing. You're going to click on actor. And when you click on actor, it creates our blueprint in the folder for us. And we're going to name this BP underscore wall light switch. So we're going to do just a little bit different than we did yesterday. You know, sorry, on Tuesday. I know at the end of Tuesday, I did talk very quickly about like making the light switch be on a wall, but we're actually going to do it as it's on the wall this time.
It could be like anything, any shape, right? Where we want it to, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
but the trigger volume has to be like a box, right?
It does not have to be a box. As a matter of fact, we can make it a different shape. That's a good question. So let's go ahead and double click this guy. We'll open it up. And hopefully you have the screen. If you have something that looks like, I think I can make it happen. If it looks like this, that's okay. Just click open full blueprint editor and you'll be in the blueprint editor. So first thing we want to do is get rid of this sphere. And we're going to do this for every single blueprint we work on in this class. So in order to get rid of that sphere, we're going to go to our components panel, click on add components, and we're going to type in scene. What that does is allows us to select the scene component in our context menu. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to rename that scene component to root. And then I'm going to drag root on top of the default root and let go of left mouse. That will get rid of our sphere and make root our scene component. Why does that other screen appear sometimes? It's a good question. What that other screen, when that happens, it's because it's a empty blueprint. So it has nothing in it. So I'll show you here, blah, 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 right? And I'll double click on it. And at first it goes, okay, I know this is a brand new blueprint. So I'm going to, work, I assume you're going to work on it. Like Unreal's trying its best to figure things out for us. It's like, okay, I know it's a new one. You just opened it. Let's work on it. But if I leave it completely empty and do nothing to it, now Unreal's like, it's a completely empty blueprint. Do you really want to do something? See, it's like, this is data only. Did you want to do something? And yes, obviously now I can open it. So that's why that happens. Okay, good question, by the way. All right, so we got rid of root. So I do know that I need some things, right? The first thing we need is collision. So I think it was Dan that said, hey, does it always have to be a box collision? No, we can do a capsule or a sphere. So this time, let's try and do a capsule. So we'll add a capsule collision, and we're gonna call this a trigger volume again. Just, it doesn't matter the shape, right?
Well,
and then,
I was gonna ask you, for collision, would it matter for like weapons or grenades or landmines?
so in that case, you want them to be kind of the shape of the object itself. And so when you actually import an object into the world, which we haven't done any of that yet, but when you do, you can actually decide the shape of the object through multiple means. One of those ways is to say, get the exact mesh that the way the shape is, and it could be like a million vertices and millions of faces, and make that the collision. Of course, you're going to have huge performance problems, right? Or you can make the you can do what's called simple collision. And what I mean by that is Unreal tries its best to sort of make the shape of the object. And so this is where you run into problems like in shooters. So I'm just going to do a little chair right here, right? So we have this chair, and even though it's a very simple shape or simple shapes, you run into this problem in shooters all the time. So if I make the collision exactly like the mesh, it's not too bad for the single chair because it's not that many vertices, right? You probably have a face for the where you sit down, a face for the back, and maybe some 8 faces or whatever for each of the legs. So not too bad, right? But most of the time we're gonna do what we can do to make the game perform well. So when it ends up happening is you'll have a simple cube collision for the seat part and all the legs, and then another simple collision box right here for the top of the chair. The problem with this is when I want to shoot through the legs, like I'm crouched down, I'm hidden under the chair or the table or whatever, and I shoot, nothing happens, right? It doesn't allow me to shoot through. I don't kill the bad guy. What the heck? And that's just because the way the collision is, it's performance based.
I could probably also prevent people, like, say, from hitting you with an RPG and you pop up and shoot them in the head. Something where, like, they just don't get any damage because it doesn't overlap.
Yeah, it's good. It could be any number of things like that. Absolutely. Okay, so let's keep going. What do I need? Trigger volume. We need, let's do like a panel. So we'll do a cube. This will be our panel on the wall that says, hey, this is where you need to be. Like, we're giving feedback to the player to say this is where you need to be. So I talked about this before, but just so you know, this is actually wrong. This is wrong. We don't want it like that. We want the panel to be a child of root. We want that panel to be child of root. So I'm going to fix it by dragging it, and then I'm going to attach. And so now that's correct. I'm going to select root this time so we do it correctly. So what else do I need? I need a panel. I need a light. Actually, we don't need a light. We're not going to do a light this time. We're going to do a light reference. And what else do I need? I need, let's see, trigger volume, panel. Oh, we need some text. So text renderer. Renderer. There we go. So I'll add that guy. And I think that should be all that we need. Now, we may need other things. I'm not certain, but I think that should do us good. All right, so from there, I'm going to make some adjustments so that it looks like what I want it to be. So this panel is going to be, let me turn the camera down just a little bit. Panel, scale, and scale, and scale. We're just going to make it really small. Oh, I might need to adjust my snapping a little bit here. And the nice thing about this capsule is it's actually, by default, it's the size of the Unreal character. So that's great. So we can actually, let's make this even smaller. You really got to be close to this light panel. And I'm going to make it a little thick like this. And the reason being is because, it's going to stick into the wall. So that's fine. And then I'm going to raise it up to maybe be more like at eye level. And I'm also going to raise up our trigger volume so we can kind of see. Remember, the grid here is the ground. So I think that's right. Yeah, that's close enough. The panel's not high enough though, obviously. Let's make that higher. Cool. That might be too high. I don't know. We'll see. And then we need to fix our text. Let's fix the text. We're gonna raise that up. And then I'm gonna go into the details panel of the text. I'm gonna go to the text category right here. I'm going to go to horizontal alignment, center it out, vertical alignment, center that out. Oh, and man, it's right on top of my panel. So let's fix that. We want it above the panel just a little bit. Does Unreal have this like delay when typing something? If you have a delay like that, it's probably because the computer can't handle it too well. So there's something that you can do, and no one has to do this. You don't have to do this, but if you want, you can. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the level editor, to our toolbar right here. In the toolbar, we're gonna go to settings. And right here it says engine scalability settings. You can turn that down to like low quality. And when you do, you can see like it gets rid of my shadows and some of the anti-aliasing and stuff like that. And also your resolution scale. So when you do some effect type things like volumetric fog, some lighting, et cetera, you might not be able to see it because your settings are lower. And actually, this is the same settings that you can set for players too whenever they play the game. So Dan, if you do that, that might help with your delays that you're seeing on your computer.
Okay, thank you. I'll make sure I try that. Because golly.
Okay. So hopefully we have this all set. If not, that's okay. We'll come back and fix it if we need to. Let's go to the event graph. And I talked about this before. So what we want to do is do a little bit of pseudocode. Normally this is written in a design doc, but what we want to do is we want the player to be close enough. And then when they're close enough, actually, I'll just keep typing on this one. Maybe not, maybe I won't type in this one. There we go. And when they're close enough, we prompt them with, with some feedback, like, hey, turn the light, press the button, press the use key to turn the light on. And then if they press the use key, then light comes on. And if they press it again, light goes off. And actually, when they're close enough, prompt them with some feedback, and then we got to check to see if the light is on, or off, and then turn the light on or off. Right, the inverse. So if the light is on, we're going to turn it off. If the light is on, sorry, if the light is on, we turn it off. If the light is off, we turn it on. Press again, light goes off, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, that's all we need, right? Oh, and let's see. And if they walk away, we stop checking to see if the user pressed the use button. Cool. So let's see. What do we need? First thing we need is our trigger volume. So we're going to click on that. It's our collision, capsule collision. We're going to go to the details panel. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. We have two events here: on component begin overlap and on component end overlap. So click on both of those. We'll click on trigger volume again and add them just like that. And this end overlap, I'm just going to put that down here. We're going to come back to that in just a second. That's going to be our and if they walked away logic. I'm going to put this up here. Okay, so this is when the player gets close enough. Now, we need to check to see is it the player. And actually, we didn't make those changes in our trigger volume. So let's go and do that. So I'm going to click on the trigger volume. I'm going to go to the details panel again. I'm going to go to, where is it at? Under the collision category, I'm going to go to the collision preset. And right now it says overlap all. I'm going to change that to custom. We're going to say ignore all responses except for the player pawn. And that's only going to overlap. We're not going to block the player. We're just going to have it overlap. And when it does overlap, then obviously we're going to say, all right, do this thing, turn the light on, or allow them to turn the light on. All right, so we can leave that the rest of that the way it is. Compile and save. And then let's go ahead and we're going to do another check as well. So we're going to come out as other actors right here. And we're going to do an equal sign. It's going to bring up our context menu for equal object. Let's say yes to that. And then I'm going to come out of this blue pin right here. I'm going to say get player pawn. And so technically, it can only be the player pawn because that's how we set it up here. So we're sort of doing like a a redundant thing with this check, but that's fine. I just want to show you guys how things are done. So drag out from this red pin, which is a Boolean, and we're going to type in branch. The Boolean is just a true or false value. This blue one, by the way, is just an object. See, it says object reference when I hover over it. And an object is going to be our actor. Okay, so if it is a player, then what? When we say, let's see, when it's close, oh, then we need to see if the light is on. So we don't actually have a light reference. So let's do that. So we're going to go to our variables under my blueprint variables category. We're going to click plus for variable. It's going to create a new variable. And we're going to call this, we'll call this light reference. And right now it has a little red symbol next to this. That's because it's set as a Boolean. We're going to change that. So with the light reference selected in our variables category, I'm going to go to the details panel. I'm going to go to variable type right here. I'm going to click this down arrow, and it's going to give me a search box. In that search box, I'm going to type in point light. You can see I have two object type references here, point light and point light component. The one I want is point light. And when I hover over it, you can see it gives me 4 options. The one I want is object reference, that blue one, object reference. This one right here, that's the one I want.
Was that the one you were using to turn on and off all the lights last time?
That's correct. All right. So now what we need to do under the variables category is we need to make it public. And you do that by clicking this little eyeball. And now that variable is exposed, and players can, I'm sorry, not players, designers who are making the level for us, like we're doing the programming right now, designers can select the light like I was showing you guys before. Let's go a step further. Let's change this light reference from a single light to many lights. So what we'll do is we're going to click on this guy right here. And you can click on this one too, it doesn't matter. Oh no, I take that back. You can only click on this one. So see this little icon right here, this little light bulb icon, click on that. We're going to change it to an array. Might be hard to see in the stream, but it's right next to the variable type. It's a little icon next to it. And then we'll compile and save. So what I'll show you is if we go to our wall light switch blueprint, we add that blueprint to our world, I'm sorry, to our viewport into the game itself. You can see right here under the default category with the light switch selected, default, we have light reference and we have this little plus symbol. And when I click plus, I can select many lights. Obviously, I don't have lights in the world, so I'd have to add a bunch of lights to the world. And then I can go back to my blueprint and I can add those lights. Oh, I have a bacon seafoam green light from last time. Cool. I can add those lights too. Oh, you don't want to duplicate. So you have these two the same. We don't want to do that. We want to add.
So this could be set up to where you had different lights in different rooms operated by different controls.
Yes.
But I'm assuming you wouldn't want to duplicate the same one because it would still control the same lights though, right?
No. If I drop another light switch, this light switch does not control any lights right now. Why? Because it has no references to the lights. This light switch blueprint will turn on all of these lights. This light switch that I added, maybe I only want to turn on point light. Maybe I want to add another light switch, and this one is going to turn on light 2. And maybe I want to add another light switch, and this one will turn on light, you know, the seafoam light, bacon one, and the point light. Tracking?
Okay.
All right. So, so what we're going to do now is we're going to grab that array. So I'm just left click. I'm holding down control, left click, and dragging. That's going to give me my getter. Remember, we talked about the shortcut key. So if you don't hold down Alt, it gives you a setter. And if you hold down Control and left click, it gives you a getter. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out from this array. And what we're going to do is we're going to iterate through the array. So we're going to go through each one of the items inside the array. So what we're typing in is for each loop. And it's this one right here, for each loop. And what that does is just goes the first light, the second light, the third light, the fourth light. We're going to connect up our pins of true to this execution pin. And then we're going to drag out from the array element. So this is where we're saying, okay, the very first one, the second one, the next one, and so on. So we're going to drag out from that array element. And we're going to type in, what is it? Get visibility, I think it is, or something like that. Visible, is visible. There it is visible. Actually, I think we want I don't know which one it is. I think it's point light. I'm going to say it's point light. I think it's point light. We'll find out here in a second if it doesn't work. So we'll drag out is visible and do point light component. This one right here, point light component. And it will give you this guy right here. And then here we have a Boolean again. So we're going to do a branch. And we're going to connect our loop body to the execution of our branch. And then we're going to drag it again from this array element. And we're going to do set visibility, point light component. And if the point light is visible, then we're going to make it not visible. I'm going to drag it again. I'm going to do another set visibility, point light component. If the light is not, like if it's not true, right? It's not visible, then we're going to make it visible. Light is currently off or not visible. So make it visible or on. And this one is light is currently on. So make it off. Tracking, that's going to happen for each one of those. So let's see. So this actually happens as soon as we enter the collision volume. So what we'll do is we'll go to some of these lights here. And you don't have to do this yet. You don't have to do this yet. We're just messing around with stuff here. So I'm going to turn some of the lights on, some of the lights off. And I'm going to walk up to these little tiny boxes that I have. And you can see it turns off some of the lights, turns on some of them, right? Because it's iterating through all of the lights in my array that I set up for this particular guy. So I have these 5 lights in that array, and some of the lights are turned off, some of them are turned on, or some of them are visible and some of them are not visible. And I'm just saying, yes, make them visible or make them not visible. No problem, James. So let me just set this like that for a second so you guys can look at it again. And technically, while I'm thinking about it, this should happen on the use key button press down, right? Which it's not. So we'll fix that here in just a second.
I'm assuming instead of like a box, if you had already like done like a console, that you would basically be using that in place of the box for this coding. Is that correct?
What do you mean a box or console?
When you're making the blueprint, or do you always make the blueprint separately and then bring in like say the UV for it or whatever's going to be on top of it, or would you like bring in like an FBX like asset and then use that to code this?
You, you can do either one. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it would, for me, it would be, if I was adding an FBX, something like that, I would just use static mesh and static mesh. And then when I do, instead of the panel, see I have the static mesh, I can change it to whatever I want. So maybe we'll do like, I don't know exactly what we have in here. Cylinders, maybe. Cylinder, there we go, boom. And now I have a big cylinder, right? But that would be like that imported static mesh. I could do that for that and change the material to whatever I want and so on and so forth. Perfect. Now compile, and every single one of my blueprints looks like craziness. And if I get rid of it, compile, and now they're gone. Which set visibility did I use? The point light component, James. Point light. Okay. I'm actually going to speed up a little bit because I do want you guys to show off your stuff before we go before we leave today. So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit more. Apologies, James. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to add a use key function. So what I'm gonna do is when project settings, inside project settings, I'm gonna go to the input category right here under engine. So engine input. I'm gonna add a use key. I already have one in this project, which is awesome, but if you don't, add use key, you can click on this guy and then set the key that you want. Maybe I want it to be G, maybe I want it to be F, you know, whatever. And if I want to add a new action mapping, I can click this. Maybe I want like a heal button. Heals. Maybe that's like R. Or maybe it's H for heals, right? Maybe like turning on a flashlight. Flashlight. That could be L, L, and so on, right? Okay, you don't do that. All we need is a use key. Use key, that's all we need. Okay, with the use key set, we'll go into our first person character blueprint. So that's going to be under content, blueprint, first person blueprints, first person character. Double click that guy, open it up. And this is exactly what we want set up right here, which is we have our use key. So I'm typing in use key. You can right click anywhere in the blueprint event graph. Brings up that context menu, type in use key, gives us the action mapping. We want to also set up a Boolean to see if the key is being pressed. So I'm going to go to my blueprints, variables category, new variable. I'm going to name that variable is use key pressed. Hold down Alt and drag it out. And then if it is pressed, then I'm going to say yes. If it's not pressed, I'm going to say no. A top target for point light component is for self. I can figure out how to make it empty like the others. Top, I figured it out. Awesome. Okay, cool. So actually, I'm going to get rid of this and leave it like that. This is how it should look though. This is, again, we're in the first person character blueprint. All right, so with that set, we're going to create an event. So I'm going to drag this out over here. Actually, I'm going to disconnect this too. I can go over there. We're going to create an event timer. So we're going to do event timer, set timer by event, this guy right here. And Unreal has decided to be down again. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to shut down Unreal, save everything, shut down Unreal, we'll reopen it. And actually, I will go here. We will go to my documents, Unreal projects, light switch project. And this is my sad face. Oh, nope, it loaded fast. Awesome, great. Where was that? Blueprints, wall light switch. Hey, here we go. Okay, so from our true, we're going to do event timer, or sorry, set timer by event. This guy right here. We're going to set the time to 0.15. We're going to make sure that it's looping. And we're going to say, drag out from this event, we're going to say create event. Under the create event, we have this drop down. I'm going to do create matching event right here, create matching event. Click on that guy, creates this cool custom event 00, whatever. I am going to connect that up to right here, like so. And so now this, oh, actually right now we're not checking to see if the key is pressed. Oops, so we need to do that next. So this is going to see if the key is pressed, and if it is, then it'll loop through those lights. What else do we need to do? We need to have some feedback. So let's grab our text renderer. We're gonna do a set text. This one right here, set text. We're gonna disconnect these guys and go like that to the true, and this one like that. And then we're going to drag out from this from this text value right here. And we're going to promote it to a variable. So we can leave it named as value, that's fine. So when I dragged out here, I did promote to variable. So now I have this new variable called value. So I'm going to hold down Alt and drag that out. And I'm going to connect that like this. And we're going to say, press the use key to turn on the light. And let's see, what else can I do? Let's do something different that we haven't done before. So I'll slow down a little bit here. With this block right here, what we're going to do is we're going to select both the set node and this text block node. We're going to right click them. So with both of them selected, I'm right clicking. I get this context menu called pin actions, and inside there is this action called collapse to function. So we'll make our first function doing this. So go ahead and click on that. And now you can see it says new function 0. And in our My Blueprints panel, we have this new function 0. What we're going to do is we're going to rename this to set render. Oh, sorry, it's text render. Sorry, set text render. There we go. Something like that. Okay, so we're going to open this set text render up. We're going to make some changes to the way I'm doing things. So let's see, what do we want to do? So we should be in the set text render tab. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this set that I just did. We're going to get rid of this value that I just did. We're going to connect this up like so. So the white connection to the white connection. And then I'm going to drag this value. I'm going to drag it right on top of this set text render that I created. And when I do, it says add this pen to the node. Do you want to do that? See that context menu I got right there? And as soon as I let go of left mouse, it adds that value to this input. So I'll do that one more time. All I'm doing is dragging from the value on top of the set text render node. Gives me this context menu uses add pin to node, and I'm going to say yes by let going of left mouse. How did you open the set render tab? Good question. So what I did is I created a function. So let me undo. So all I did was grab these guys right here. And if you don't have them, if you don't even have the set, that's okay. You just have the set text like this guy. You can right click that and collapse that to a function too. And what did I call it? Set text render. And then there it is. Go to this value, connect that to that, like so. What was the pink one called? This pink one is called text. It's a text. See, variable type text. And you can actually click on this and it'll tell you all the different types right here, are the most common ones anyway. All right, so let's rename this value variable that I created right here. We're gonna rename this to press use key. Then I'm gonna hold down Control and hit W for duplication. And if I right click, you can see right here, duplicate, Control W. I'm gonna rename this to lights are toggled. And maybe we'll do another one. So I'll do Control W to duplicate again. And this one will say, get close. And we'll leave it like that, right? So get close. For our press use key, oh, actually we need to compile. So let's compile everything. All right, cool. We have this error. That's because this does not have a connection yet. So we'll come back to that in a second. With our press use key variable selected, we're going to type in a default value, which is just going to be press the use key to interact with this light switch. And then we'll click on the lights toggled and we'll say lights are toggled. All right, just feedback to the player. And this get close will be get closer to toggle lights. So now it'll be a little bit easier. So press use key, that's the scary here, and we'll connect like that. So I just left click and dragging it, right, and plugging it in. And now when I compile, I don't have that issue anymore. So the player gets close enough, we say press the use key, and we set the timer to see if they press the use key. Then this is our timer event right here. We need to see if they did press the use key, so we need a player reference. So in order to get a player reference, we need to go to our begin play. So let's grab this guy, event begin play. We'll drag out from there, and we need to do get actor of class to get the player character, this one right here, this blueprint that we were working on just a second ago, first person character, this one. So we need to get that so we can get that value of is that key being pressed down. So under actor class, we're going to type in first person character, and we're going to select it. And how did I know to use that one, first person character? because that's what I named, or that's what the name of this blueprint is. So that's what I'm doing. I'm saying, give me this blueprint so I can use it later. So first person character, then we're going, the return value, we're going to promote that to a variable. I'm just going to call it first person character. And this is just a reference for later so that I can use it. Actually, while we're here on begin play, we're going to grab our set text renderer function. So I just left click left click and drag into the blueprint event graph, right? See how I'm doing that? Left click and drag. Anyway, and we're going to set the value of our set text renderer to get this get close. Right, because when the game begins, we need to tell the player, hey, get close in order to toggle the lights. And then when they are close, then we tell them, hey, press the use key to toggle the lights. And then when they press the use key, we'll say, hey, lights have been toggled, congratulations. All right, so that looks good. Let me hover over this just a second longer so you guys can see it.
Sir, my set text render doesn't have that value on the bottom. It just doesn't have that pink node at all.
That's okay. What you need to do is go into the function, drag this value on top of the set text renderer, and it'll add that node for you. You see how it's doing it on my screen?
Yeah.
And then when you compile it, you should get the value input right here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so we have our timer. The timer fires off. We need to grab the first person character and get is use key pressed right there. Is use key pressed. This one. And if it is pressed, so we need to do a branch. If it is pressed, then let's actually do another set text renderer. We're going to say lights have been toggled. True. Yes, execute. Awesome. Okay, so let's see if that works. We're going to go to one of our little light switches over here. Oh, look, see, get closer to toggle the lights. I get close, it says press the use key to interact with the light switch. I press the use key and lights have been toggled. It's amazing. Cool. Of course, when we walk away, we don't have any logic that resets it, so we'll have to fix that here in just a second. So this is good. Well, actually, I'm just going to drag that over there. That's all good. Now we can go to the end overlap. And what we'll do for the end overlap is we'll set the text renderer, sorry, not the text renderer, the set text renderer function. And we'll put it back to get close. So this is when they leave, right? End overlap, they leave. We're setting it back to, hey, get close. And the other thing we need to do is turn off this timer. Oh, we did not set a variable for this timer. So let's fix that. That's my bad. So right here on set timer by event, the return value, we're going to drag out from there and promote that to a variable. We're going to call this the, what is this? This is pressed timer event. Compile and save. And then I can grab that new variable I created, drag out from it and do clear and invalidate by handle. Boom. And so that just stops the timer. We don't want a bunch of timers running all the time because it's gonna eat up performance, right? I think I had like 5 of those guys out there. So imagine if I had hundreds of them. So it says get closer, press the use key to interact. I press the use key and the lights are turning on and off. And if I walk away, it says it again. Cool. Okay, I got 1 more minute. Let's do some more things. Let's go to the text renderer. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Unbelievable 26 size. Let's do like 12. So make it a little bit smaller. I can see in the viewport here. Still kind of big, right? Let's make it even smaller. 8. Sure, 8. 8 looks good. We're gonna do that. Let's go back to our event graph. I'm gonna go to our press use key, and I can see this is very long, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna break this up by holding down Shift and hitting Enter. And you see what happens when I do that? It makes a new line for us. This is how you make new lines in text. So I'm just gonna do this so that it's a little bit easier to read. That is, oh yeah, it's get closer. See how it's centered or whatever, and it's like not this long line because I made new lines for that one. So we're gonna do that for the rest of them. So toggle lights is okay. This one, get closer to toggle lights. Actually, I'll break that one up too. Perfect. File and save, hit play. Get closer to toggle lights, blah. The other thing is it's tiny, it's too small. So let's make our, go to viewport. I'm gonna grab the panel and the text renderer. I'm holding down Control to select both of them. Using the translate, bring that up a little bit. And I'm also going to make our volume just a hair bigger, and maybe bring that up as well. Because it seems like it's just a little too low. See, it's just too low. It needs to go up higher, even higher than that. Unbelievable. Okay, these guys up here, I don't know, way up there. There we go. Cool. Now we can put those light switches, you know, on a wall where it makes sense. Turn off my snapping. And I'm going to get rid of these other light switches. We only want that one. Cool. Get closer to toggle lights. Press the use key to interact. Lights have been toggled. They're on. It's great. Cool, right? So what else can we do? I'm 2 minutes over. It's fine. What else can we do? Let's change this. It says lights have been toggled. We will let's do this. We're gonna change this up just a little bit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag off from this array element. We're gonna type in get display name. And there it is right there. And now I have this like hot pink, and that's what's called a string value. I'm going to drag out from the string value and I'm going to type in append. And so what it's going to do is it's going to, I'm going to draw here. So we have like our little line coming out, and what it's going to do is going to say whatever the name is plus whatever else I type, right? So you can see here, whatever the name is plus whatever else I type, that's going to be our new value. And so what I want to type in here is, let's see, we're going to get the name of the light switch and we're going to say is on. And so I'm actually doing space is on. Let's see, for this guy. And then I'm going to drag out from here again. I'm going to do another append. We're going to say space is off. And then I'm going to remove this guy. Do a little connection like that. I'm going to grab our set text renderer up here and right here and connect this guy like that and connect this guy like this. And then I'm going to connect our return value to this, and it's automatically going to convert it from a string to a text, which is awesome. Thank you, Unreal, for being great. And now, ooh, actually, this is not going to work the way I want it to, but that's okay. We'll see. We'll show you the bug. That's fine. Go to our little light switch, and it goes to the very last one in the array. So what we really want to do, and I didn't realize it was going to be a problem, but that's okay. We'll get rid of those. Well, really, what we can do instead, and the player won't be able to see this in the final game, but that's okay, is we'll just do a print string, and then we'll do another print string here, and connect like that. And then when we go to it, we need a sprint button, right? The sprint button. There you go. You can see is on, is off, whatever, right? On, except for point light 5 is off. Pretty cool. So we can actually make that into like a widget, or maybe have a bunch of text renderers or something like that to say, hey, you turned on all these lights have been turned on. Or we can give some other feedback, right? We can do it like a Niagara particle system. We can do all sorts of different things. Okay, what are your questions? I went over that like super duper fast, but this is the third time we did it, so it shouldn't be too much. And of course, I've done a couple new features for each time, but that's just my crazy brain going.
I'm kind of on one screen and I can't really toggle back and forth to keep up. I was able to try to get the event to work, but I'm not sure if it's fully functional. I might have to just play with the light a little bit more.
Okay, that's all right. Do you have the other light switch working? I got lost towards the middle and don't know what I'm missing. It's fine. It's fine. This is
I could show you at the end if just I guess answer everybody else's questions, and I'll show you what I'm dealing with.
okay, no problem. So I did not answer anyone's question. I'm a terrible teacher. That's okay. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It's fine. The voices in my head said it's okay. All right, so what I want to talk about before we get into more questions is I did create an assignment called Build a Light Switch. So hopefully you've seen the videos and you've worked through at least one light switch of the 3 that we worked on and the one today. And then if you're ready to show it today, great. We'll see some of y'all's light switches that have it built already. If you do not have it built, it is okay. If you weren't caught up, it's absolutely fine. Actually, it's kind of slower than I normally do. And actually, sometimes the question is this how fast you actually work? I'm normally a little bit faster because it's just, and sometimes actually I do things and I forget, like, oh, I already know how to do this thing, but y'all don't. And so like I skip over it, and I apologize. Okay, so anyway, the assignment is to build a light switch. If you're ready to show it right now this second, awesome, we'll do that in here in just a second. If you're not, that's okay. It is due on Tuesday. All right, and the way you turn it in is you're going to screen share. So on Tuesday is the very first thing we're going to do is attendance, and then right after that you're going to screen share again and do a little show and tell to show me that, hey, yes, I built a light switch, and I really don't care about. So think about like burgers being made or whatever, right? No one cares about how the burger is made. They care, is it a good burger? Does it taste good? And, is it ready when I say it needs to be ready, right? And so I said it needs to be ready on Tuesday. I want an awesome burger. So when we screen share, all you have to do is just go, run over here, press the button, and show me that, hey, the light turns on. You can go first, that's fine. Any questions, comments, concerns? How much bacon you got? That can give you extra credit. Just kidding.
No pun
Oh,
intended.
go ahead.
Was that fun? Oh, go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna actually stop the recording